Very good morning, children. Welcome to session 1, lesson Animal Behavior. Already in a previous lesson, you studied about the sense organs, and now let's come to the next lesson, that is Animal Behavior. So here, if you carefully observe this picture, you can find three animals here. What are they? Yeah, very good. The first one, butterfly. The next, a chimp. And the next one, bird. So what this butterfly is doing? The butterfly is sitting over the flower and it is sucking the nectar. And what about the chimp? The chimp is resting. So whether in a normal way? No. Just like a funny way, right? And what's the third one? Here the bird is preparing the nest, or building its nest. So if you carefully observe this picture, naturally this picture, if you carefully observe our surroundings, you can observe the different types of animals are behaving in a different manner. And by observing all this kind of animal behavior, you may get some doubts. What are they? So why fish do not need to learn how to swim? So if you carefully observe this fish, can you say that the fishes, actually whenever they hatch from the eggs and they born, from that period itself, they start swimming. But their parents, they won't join them in schools and some coaching centers for swimming, all the things. Is it true or not? Yes. So by birth they get that talent. And even butterfly also, it is able to identify which flower contains this nectar and how to absorb that nectar. All these talents are behaviors they get by their birth itself. And even if you carefully observe this bird, the bird won't undergo any training for how to prepare this nest, all these things, right? So in this way, we can find a very, very interesting patterns of behavior in different types of animals. Now, let's come to our topic, that is animal behavior. What is meant by animal behavior? Means animal behavior is the study of animals, how they interact with each other. How they interact with each other means how they interact. Interact means they communicate or they make a friendship with the same type of animals of the same species, and also with the other living beings. Other living beings means with the other types of animals, and at the same time with the environment. Environment means the surroundings. All the living organisms, they depend on environment. But these animals, they know well how to use the environment in a very careful manner without causing any destruction. But in this planet, we can find one dangerous animal which damages this entire environment. What is that animal? Yeah, very good. That is a human being. We are very, very dangerous. We're depending on the environment, and therefore, just because of our greedy nature, what we're doing, that means we're destroying our environment and our surroundings, right? And even it also begins, this animal behavior begins with the animal's physiology. What is meant by physiology? Physiology means what are the different types of systems present in the animal, like a respiratory system, circulatory system, digestive system, nervous system, skeletal system, like this. And how this physiology and anatomy. Anatomy means internal structure. In the lower classes, you may study about the internal structure of a heart, then the internal structure of a brain, like this. So how this physiology and anatomy are integrated. Integrated means related with its behavior. Even that can be studied under animal behavior. So even this animal behavior depends on external and internal stimuli. External and internal stimuli. Here you may get the doubt, what is meant by stimulus? Stimuli. Stimuli plural, singular stimulus. So for example, you are watching the TV at evening, that means at night time. So think that the mosquito is biting your body. Then what do you do? Without looking into this mosquito, what do? You you slap that, but how it is possible? That is because of stimuli. Here this mosquito bite is a stimulus, and this slapping is response. Stimulus, response. So here we can find two types of stimulus. There is external stimulus and internal stimulus. What is meant by external? That means outside. So from outside, the animal may get different types of stimuli, and against that stimuli, the animal will behave. So when the dog is chasing, or when the dog is looking at you very angrily, then what happens? What do? You run away from that. Here, the dog is a stimulus, and running away is the response. And even internal stimuli. Internal stimuli means which come from inside the body. Here we can find some examples for external stimuli. See, threats from other animals. Threats means, in a Discovery or a NGC, Animal Planet, in all these channels, you may find that when the deer is grazing, grazing means eating the grass. Okay, think that the tiger is very slowly it is coming towards the deer. But when the deer observes the tiger, then what it do? Then immediately it ran away. Right? So suddenly we can find a change in its behavior. What is the change? That means running away or escaping. Correct? Okay, and even sounds. You can clearly observe this in the case of birds. Whenever you heard a very loud noise like crackers like this, then immediately we can find that animals are running away or flying away like this. Okay, and even smells means now and then you can find this in your daily life also. So for example, it's today Sunday, and your mother prepared some non-veg, and you are taking that during this lunch time. Then at the time you can observe that some dog or the cat is entering your home. Okay, have you seen this? Have you observed this or not? Yes. But on the remaining days, they won't. But why they come only on Sundays? That means by smelling the non-veg. Correct? So here smell is a stimulus, and entry of these animals into our home, there is a response. Right? So these are, as they are acting on the body from outside, we call them as external stimuli. And then internal stimuli. Internal means inside. So for example, one tiger is very hungry, right? Then what do you do? Whether it goes to some hotel and it won't put an order for the biryani or something. Then what do you do? That means it go and search for its food. Okay, and when it sees it's a prey like a deer or a buffalo or a sheep like this, then it chases, and then it kills and eats. Right? So here, why it is killing the animal? It is because of a response. It is a response. From inside it is getting a hunger. There is an internal stimulus. Right? So what is the response here? Chasing the animal and killing the animal and eating. Correct? So, and even fear, whenever you are afraid, or when any animal afraid of its enemy, then immediately it ran away from the place, escape from the area. Correct? So in this way, we can find two types of stimuli. Some are external and some are internal. And according to this type of stimuli, the animal also behaves. Right? And even this animal behavior also related to this feeding habits or feeding behavior. In different channels, you may find that how different types of animals are taking their food and eating the food like this. Okay, then habitat selection. Habitat. What is meant by habitat? Yeah, habitat means the natural living place. So for example, you went to one zoo, and there you can find different types of animals. Right? Now, can you call that a zoo as a habitat of a lion? No. But actually, where the lion lives naturally? Yeah, in the forest. So forest is said to be the habitat of a lion or any other wild animal, right? Even when any animal comes to a new place, then what it do? That means it searches that entire area and then it settles in one particular place. Which type of place it selects? That means the place which is secure, secure means safe to that animal, so that no other animal can enter that place. So in this way they select the habitats. Okay, and even mating behavior. Mating behavior means some animals they select the other animals for the sake of reproduction, right? Okay, and that one can be called as a mating behavior. So all these things can be studied under what? Under this animal behavior. Animal behavior. Got it, children? So yeah, this animal behavior definition and then types of this stimuli. All these things are very very important, right? Okay. Now let's come to the next topic. When we take this animal behavior can be broadly divided into 4 types. How many? There is 4 types. So what are the means? The first one, there is instinct. There is instinct behavior. Then second one, imprinting. Third one, conditioning. And the last one, imitation. I think you know well about the last kind of a behavior, imitation. Have you heard about this word, imitation? What is meant by imitation? Yeah, copying, right? Now, let's come to the first one, that is instinct behavior. Instinct. So what is this instinct behavior means? This kind of behavior need not to be learned. That means they get this kind of behavior. The animals get this kind of behavior by birth itself. Already we studied about this building of nest by this bird and then swimming by this fish. No, when you observe this kind of animal behavior, they won't learn that. They won't learn that kind of behavior from animals. By birth they get. So what do you call this kind of behavior means? This is to be instinct behavior. That means the behavior or the characters which we get by our birth. Okay, that behavior can be called as an instinct behavior. And here are some examples. There is a making nest by there's a birds and then choosing the mates. Choosing means selecting the animals, choosing the opposite sex animals for reproduction, and then forming into groups. Forming into groups means, for example, take your classroom. In a classroom, we can find 30 to 40 members. But can you say that you are behaving equally with all the members? No. You will be very very close to some children, and you are a little bit away from some people, and you won't care about some other children. Why? Why means this is kind of a behavior. Okay, grouping behavior. You select who is suitable for your behavior with your mentality like this. In the same way, just like humans, animals also form into groups. Okay, and this property also come along with the instinct behavior. Okay, and then if you touch any hot object, so for example, your mother is very very busy talking with the other neighbor, and then she suddenly she remembered that she put the milk over the stove. Okay, then immediately she do? She shout on you, hey, come on, go to the kitchen and look after that milk. Okay, say for example, you went to the kitchen and now you are thinking in some other way, and you are touching that vessel. Then immediately what means? Immediately it burns. That means you get some pain feeling to your fingers or to your hand. Then immediately what you do? You withdraw that hand. You withdraw the hand from that vessel. So here that hot vessel is a stimulus, and this withdrawal is said to be response. So what do you call that kind of property and the actions means? we call them as reflex actions. Reflex actions. Correct? So here, even when you observe these reflexes, even these reflexes also not learned. Whether you learn this from anyone, no. But whenever you experience this in your life for the first time, then you won't forget that. Got it? Okay. Now, what do you call this? These properties or these actions can be called as reflexes, and even these reflexes also come under which behavior? There is instinct behavior. Correct? Right. Okay. Then the next one. So if you carefully observe this picture, what you can find in the first picture, you can find that the bird is nesting. Nesting means it is building the nest with the grass pieces, right? And in the second picture, you can find that the spider is constructing the web. So the humans are said to be very, very advanced animals with great knowledge in science and technology. But even by using all this kind of knowledge in science and technology, we could not able to prepare this kind of nest or this kind of web. Okay, right? So what we call this kind of behavior which we get by our birth means we call that as instinct behavior. Got it, children? So the behavior which we get by birth, so that can be called as instinct behavior, and that's why it cannot be learned. Okay, no need to learn this kind of behavior. Okay, now let's come to the next topic. So here, if you carefully observe one old person, he is not an old man, he is one scientist by name Kurada Lorenz. And here he is followed by some geese, right? And here in the second picture, you can find this is she hen, okay, and she is looking after these chicks, right? That means the chicks are following its mother for what? That means for the sake of food, then for shelter, for protection, for all these things. Okay, so if you carefully observe this picture, you can find one thing. What does that means? So here we're talking about a property that is imprinting. What is imprinting means? We can say, see, if you carefully observe these two pictures, there is this scientist followed by this geese, and then the hen followed by this chicks. We can find that that means this kind of behavior can be called as imprinting. Imprinting means here whenever this chicks or ducklings, they hatch out. Hatch out means once they come out of their eggs, whatever the first moving object they see, you go the point. Once they hatch out, whatever the first moving object they observe or they see, they treat that moving object as its mother, as their mother. Correct? So this kind of a behavior can be called as imprinting behavior, right? And this kind of behavior can be seen in chicks and also this ducks. Got it? Okay, and here if you carefully observe this kind of behavior, sometimes it is useful and sometimes harmful. How we can see that? So for example, useful means, say the chicks, they observe this hen as a moving object. So then what happens? Then these chicks, they think that a hen is its mother, and so they follow its mother. Then there will be no harm at all. But for example, unfortunately, think that once they hatch out, they observe cat or dog as a moving object. Then now what they do? They think that the cat or dog is its mother, and so they follow that. Then what the dog will do? The dog will eat up. This young ones. Correct. So in this way, this kind of behavior is sometimes useful and sometimes harmful to these animals. So over this kind of behavior, a scientist by name Corrada Lorenz, he did one experiment. What is that means? That means he collected the eggs of some geese and he hatched them in his laboratory, and at that time he was moving over there. Okay, then these geese, they saw this person as a first moving object, and so they consider this Lawrence as their mother, and they started following him wherever he go. They followed this person. Got it? So in this way, for the first time, this scientist Corrada Lorenz did experiment on which animals? That means geese, on geese. For which kind of behavior? That is imprinting behavior. Imprinting behavior. Right. Now, the next one, that is conditioning. Conditioning. This is a third kind of behavior, and here it is a kind of a learned behavior. That means we learn this kind of behavior, but naturally we will not get this. What is a good example for this means? That's a school bell. That's a school bell. When you observe our school, in a school, the bell rings at different timings. The bell is same, but from time to time our behavior changes. Have you seen that? Have you observed that? So when you heard the first bell, then what do? That means you gather, you come out of the classrooms, and then you gather for assembly, right? And after the end of break time, so during the break time, you may be in the ground or somewhere, right? But once you get the bell, then what do? You leave the ground and then you go to your classes. Correct? And then at the last period, when you hold the last bell, then what do? You leave your classes. You leave the classes and then you go to your home. So here the bell is same. The bell is same from morning to evening. But your behavior is changing from time to time. Correct? So this kind of behavior can be called as conditioning. Okay, which is a kind of a learned behavior. And in schooling, you can also get one more good example. There's a national anthem. At the end of the prayer, what we do? That means we go for the national anthem, and at the time of a national anthem, we have some rules for that. What are they? We should not talk and we should not move and we should be in attention position. So from your childhood to up to 10th class, that means you spend 12 years, 11 to 12 years in the schooling, and for that long period, you have been hearing that national anthem. So even whenever you are out of the school and you are hearing this national anthem, then what do? Whatever you are doing at the time, you stop doing that, and then that means you will be in the attention position. Have you observed that? Yeah, this is also a kind of a conditioning behavior. And even we can find one more example here. So there's electric shock here. If you carefully observe, in your textbook, you can find one picture, right? So here, when the grazing animals are present in one area, say there's a shepherd, what do? That means they construct the fence, they construct a fencing around that area so that the animals cannot go outside, right? And now and then they arrange this electricity. They provide electricity to this fencing. So whenever these animals accidentally they come and touch their body with this fencing, they get a slight shock. Okay, then from that time onwards, they won't like to touch that fencing, even though the power supply is switched off, or no power supply is there. Even at that time, they won't like to touch that. Correct? So what does this mean? This is also kind of this kind of behavior can be called as a conditioning. This is conditioning. Okay, and what's the last one? There is Ivan Pavlov's dog experiment. Okay, here we can find one scientist. Who is this? He is said to be a very famous scientist, that is Ivan Pavlov. Ivan Pavlov, and he did his experiment on a dog to prove this conditioning behavior. Right? Actually, here, if you carefully observe this, what is this? This is a food. So by seeing the food, what happens? Can you see this? The dog is releasing the saliva. That means it is salivating. So here, food is a stimulus. Food is a stimulus. And what is this salivation? Salivation is a response. You got it, children? Food is a stimulus. And what is the response? There is a salivation. What is the saliva? Saliva is equal to digest the food and for easy moving of a food in the body, in the digestive system. Correct? Right? So this is a natural phenomena, natural process, naturally in dog, in all the animals, including with the humans. Right? And then after a few days, what he did? First, he rang the bell. He rang the bell, and then he gave the food. What is the second step? He rang the bell, and then he gave the food. Then it started salivating. Can you see this? Right. So he continued this for a few more days. Okay. Then what he did means he rang the bell. After a few days, he rang the bell, but never gave any food. Never gave any food. But what the dog thought? Once it heard about that bell sound, then it started salivating. Actually, food was not given here. But why the dog salivated? Means by thinking, it thought that now I'm going to get the food. Okay. So here, the food is what? Stimulus. And what is salivation? Salivation is a response. Okay, but here what is a bell? Means bell is a condition here. Bell is a condition. That means by creating this condition, he brought some change. That means what is that change? Without stimulus, he created a response. In this picture, you can find this, right? So here, what is this? It is only condition. There is no stimulus, but even then, he observed a response. Got it? So what do you call this kind of a behavior? Means this is said to be conditioning, and this experiment became very, very famous. Okay, what do you call this? This experiment means Ivan Pavlov's experiment, right? Ivan Pavlov's experiment. Got it? Yeah. Now, what's the last kind of behavior means? There is imitation. What is imitation means? It is just a copying behavior. Copying means it is also kind of a learned behavior. So here, what is the first one? Instinct. Whether there is a learned or a natural. No, it is a natural. Right? And what is the second one? Second one, there is imprinting. There is also natural. And what about third one? Conditioning. Conditioning is a learned behavior. And what about imitation? Imitation is also learned behavior. Right? So if we carefully observe some mimicry artists like say this Shiva Reddy, the next Ali, then Veer Madhav, like this. Now these people, they produce the sounds of the other people, the voice of other people. You know what do you call the talent? That art can be called as a mimicry. That is called a mimicry. But can they do that? No. But how they are able to do that means they practice, they undergo learning, they learn that. Okay, that's why they are able to do. So this kind of a learned behavior can be called as an imitation. Copying, they are copying the other's behavior. Okay, that's why we call this as a imitation, right? And even here, some scientists also did some experiments on animals. They put some of the chimpanzees in a room, and they hang the fruits to the roof of the room. And see these chimpanzees, they try to reach out that food, but they could not. But among them, one animal, it observed the whole room, and it found some sticks, some mistakes. So by taking one stick, it tries to get the food, but it failed. Then after some time, what it do? It took one more stick, and it tied one stick with the other, so that those sticks became very long. Okay, then with the help of that long stick, it is able to get its food. So by observing this chimpanzee, this animal, the other chimpanzees also did the same. Correct? So here they copied the behavior. So we call that as imitation. And there is one saying in a Telugu, no, gorilla. No, why you are behaving like a gorilla like this? No, why we use this word means when we observe this a sheep or a goat, the first sheep or goat, how it is moving, the remaining animals also do the same. Correct? So this is a kind of a copying behavior. And in your lower classes, in your nursery, you may study about the story, right? There is a monkeys and capsules. You got it? Right? So here, if you carefully observe this picture, this is the story. In this story, we can find that the capsular, he gets tied up by roaming in the town, that means by selling all the caps, and so he slept under the tree, right? Then the monkeys, they came down and they took all these caps. They took all these caps, and again they climbed over the tree, right? And when this capsular, he wake up, he found that no caps. He found no caps in this bag. Then he found that monkeys took all these caps. Then he could not able to find out, that means how to get his caps back, right? So he did many things, but whatever the capsular do, the monkeys also did the same, right? So he got an idea finally. So what he did, that means he took his cap and he thrown the cap over the ground here, right? Then what the monkeys do? The monkeys also thrown their caps over the ground, and then immediately this capsular, he collected all his caps and then he went away from the place. Correct. So here, why I'm saying about this story means here the monkeys are copying whose behavior? Capsular's behavior. So they are copying the behavior of others. So this is said to be, what do you call this kind of behavior? Yeah, imitation. This is a imitation. Right, children? So that's all for today, and with this we come to the end of this session. Thank you. Have a nice day.